Hello and welcome to the world of Neko Deco Pop. I'm Nat, and this fall season had some of the most anticipated anime of the year, including Pluto and Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. I think this fall season was my favorite season out of the year. It just had banger after banger, and even the ones that weren't so great were still decent enough to balance everything out. I am honestly gonna miss this year of anime because there have been some truly amazing standouts. Since the winter anime season is kicking off this week, let's wrap up 2023, even though it's technically 2024 now, on a good note. Castlevania Nocturne. The way I've been waiting for the sequel to come out has been nearly impossible to bear. And Castlevania Nocturne absolutely delivered. Castlevania is already one of my favorite anime, and one of the best horror anime out there, period. I was absolutely blown away by this sequel, especially since it was able to completely stand on its own in absolutely masterful ways. Taking place 300 plus years after the original Castlevania series, this sequel is equipped with brand new characters, new settings, and massive new catastrophes to face. I had so much fun returning to this truly wonderful and magical world. My only complaint about this anime is that some of the fight scenes had slightly choppy animation, but other than that, Castlevania Nocturne was a near damn perfect season. And the way that the last episodes played out, I was sobbing, I was screaming, I absolutely freaked the f*** out of my cats, and probably my neighbors too. I don't even know if I should say anything more about the ending because I don't want to give anything away. And the way that it ends had me absolutely floored. If you loved Castlevania or have never seen any of it, this anime is still for you. It stands on its own, it holds its own, it's a perfect continuation of the series, and it is one of my favorite things I've seen in a long time. And with that being said, Castlevania Nocturne made my top 10 anime list of 2023, and we're gonna give her a 9 out of 10. Deadmount Deathplay, Season 2. After watching the first season of Deadmount Deathplay, I was super annoyed that I was going to have to wait to see the rest. Season 1 did a great job at setting up all of the major plot points that played out beautifully in the second season. I'm really not into isekais, but this reverse isekai, where the main character turned out to be the last person I thought was going to get reincarnated, is done really well. After I've had some time away from the series, I am looking forward to rewatching the full thing back to back because I think it'll make me appreciate it even more than I already do. I am so excited for you first-timers because you're gonna get to experience it like that. If you're already caught up on the first season, I think you're gonna be very satisfied with how this puppy plays out. Deadmount Deathplay Season 2 gets a 8 out of 10. Sasaki and Miyano, Graduation. She was cute, I had fun. Was it anything groundbreaking? No. But when it comes to romance anime, I'm not like other girls. I'm a whore. So cutesy, wholesome, fluffy romance is fine, but it's really not my bread and butter. That's why I only gave the OG Sasaki and Miyano a 7 out of 10. Not because it wasn't good, but because I am a whore. I did really like aspects of this puppy though. I was really moved by the coming out scenes and just so grateful that their support systems were supportive and nobody got disowned. It'll definitely be interesting to see where they go in Season 2 now that Sasaki has graduated. No news yet on whether the college he got accepted to is nearby or if this is going to turn into a long-distance relationship, which in that case, rip. But yeah, overall this was cute, nothing spectacular, but the girls and the gays will 100% love it. Sasaki and Miyano Graduation gets a 7 out of 10. After School Hanako-kun. It was really nice to return back to the world of Hanako-kun, but that being said, this miniseries had a fraction of what made the original series so magical. But honestly, I don't know what I expected. I probably shouldn't have expected much since these were only 4 8-minute-long episodes containing fluffy side stories. But that being said, it still felt disappointing. Debating whether to actually rate this one lower than what I have. I'm honestly probably going to go back and forth in this, but for now, we are going to give After School Hanako-kun a 6 out of 10. Scott Pilgrim takes off. So I was going to be biased no matter how this puppy ended, because Scott Pilgrim is one of my favorite movies of all time. The show really stood on its own though. I was worried it was just going to be a remake, but it has a completely original story that diverges even from the original graphic novel. You can tell that everyone involved in this, especially the original voice actors who came back, had an absolute blast. This is probably going to end up becoming one of my comfort shows like the movie. If you like the movie, you're going to love this. And if this is your first introduction to the Scott Pilgrim universe, I am so excited for your journey. And for all the asshats who are trying to say, it's not real anime. It's animated by an anime studio. It has a Japanese anime opening. And it has a literal anime toe scene in it. Y'all are gonna have fun with this one. Scott Pilgrim Takes Off gets a 8 out of 10. Spy X Family Season 2. By this point, we all know that Spy X Family is a masterpiece and an absolute joy to watch. This second season continued that trend and left me grinning ear to ear. As a manga reader, I had the most fun watching some of my favorite scenes get animated. I loved the slower slice-of-life episodes like when Damien gets sent on that field trip. But I also really loved the cruise ship arc that were batshit insane where shit's just going down left and right. This is just a near-perfect show that continues to raise the bar on the comedic slice-of-life action genre. If you watch the first season, you're gonna love this. If you're just dropping in and watching individual episodes with zero context to the rest of the series, you're still gonna love this. It's just amazing all around. And I absolutely love to see that Otto did the OP. Spy X Family Season 2 gets a very well-deserved 9 out of 10. Dark Gathering. There aren't many horror anime that are able to pull off the genre in a believable, skin-crawling way. Dark Gathering is one of those few exceptions. Between the truly nauseating gore, the compelling storylines, and the character development, this puppy solidified itself as a leader in the genre. Kicking off in the summer season and finishing up a few weeks ago, Dark Gathering tells the story of Keitaro, a college student whose former shut-in life was spawned by a supernatural incident that cursed him and his friend. After entering college, he begins tutoring Yayoi, a elementary student who starts dragging him to haunted locations to start collecting malevolent spirits. Through their journeys, they deal with some truly horrific monsters as Yayoi collects spirits like Pokemon in hopes to make a spirit so strong that it will overcome the massive entity who captured her mother's ghost, preventing her from passing on. This series is more anthology-based but has an underlying story that beautifully comes together by the end and acts as a truly magnificent setup for future seasons. I was honestly so happy with this series, but learned very early on to not be snacking while watching. Cause yeah, the gore got absolutely horrific in places and left me truly nauseous. Dark Gathering gets a 8 out of 10. 16-Bit Sensation, Another Layer. 16-Bit Sensation Another Layer had such a cool concept, but totally botched the landing. Like, you got time travel to the 90s, an homage to old school eroge gaming, and a behind-the-scenes love letter to all of the elements that go into making a game. So why didn't it work? Well, it got way too convoluted and made the time travel thing go from a quirky element to a galactic conspiratorial AI disaster. And the last episode, they violated the screenplay golden rule: show, don't tell, and had all of these super important scenes reduced down to exposition dumps between the two main characters. This anime would have been so much better if they just left the time travel element to anime magic and kept with the main storyline, which is a woman who wants to make video games that live up to the one she adored growing up. She gets sent back to the golden age of gaming and gets an opportunity to be a part of those games. This allows her to grow and learn how to thrive and be fulfilled in her field. But instead, they had to throw in too many dumb elements and then rush them so much that the last episode felt slow, but also covered way too many topics. I just couldn't do it. 16-bit sensation Another Layer gets a 5 out of 10. Ron Kamonohashi's Forbidden Deductions. After watching Undead Murder Farce, I was super on board to watch more detective content. Unfortunately, Ron Kamonohashi's Forbidden Deduction did not live up to the hype. Yes, it was a good show, but after watching shows like Moriarty the Patriot and Undead Murder Farce, this puppy just did not cut it. The episodes felt rushed, but also paced really weird, especially the one-episode arcs. When the stories were spread out between 2 or 3 episodes, it made a lot more sense since you got more time with the stories. But when it was all crammed into one episode, the payoff just didn't feel satisfying. The main underlying story about Ron's heritage was 20 times more interesting than any of the individual cases, yet it had like 10% of the screen time. If the show had given that storyline more time, it would have been a much better show. And I know this is petty, but the opening song really annoyed me. Ron Kamonohashi's Forbidden Deductions gets a 6.5 out of 10. Heaven Official's Blessing, Season 2. I have been waiting years for Season 2, and it's finally here. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed it even more than the first one. It definitely felt like there were much higher stakes, all while still having that DL gay shit. I showed my dad an episode and was like, yeah, it's super subtly gay because of Chinese censorship. And without skipping a beat, he said, it's not very subtle. So there you go. Watching week to week is definitely not the move on this one. I'd recommend binging it over a few sittings because especially once episode 5 kicks in, it is really hard to stop. I unfortunately had to stop right before the finale since it hadn't come out yet and started immediately ranting to my cats, who could not care less. It's a bummer that we only got 10 episodes, but honestly, I will take what I can get. Pro tip though, if you've had time away between seasons, look everyone's name up beforehand. I spent like 80% of the season trying to figure out who everyone was referring to. With the first season, I wasn't really in the right headspace since I was in my I really need to binge every anime phase where I watched 100 anime in a year. I also really wasn't feeling fantasy as a genre, so I only gave it a 7 out of 10. But this time around, I think I finally get it. Heaven Official's Blessing gets a 8 out of 10. Pluto. If you've seen my top 10 anime of 2023 video, you already know it. Pluto was my favorite show of 2023. This show is a masterpiece in every sense of the word, which is absolutely no surprise since it comes from the brilliant mind Naoki Urasawa, who created Monster. The biggest downfall of Pluto is that Netflix absolutely failed it. With nearly zero promotion, if you weren't already actively looking forward to this anime like I was, you probably missed it. which is honestly a crime against humanity since this anime is a future classic and one of the best anime of our generation. The main plot points are that this is a reworked retelling of the famous 1950s anime and manga Astro Boy. Except this time, it is framed as a murder mystery following a robot detective as he tries to track down the serial killer who is taking out the world's most powerful robots. I don't want to say anything else because this is one that you should go into blind. It is a visually astounding series, and I am so happy that Netflix gave them the budget to really pull this puppy off. I cannot stress enough how amazing this series is. Just go watch it. You're gonna have an amazing time. I will say though, watch this over a week or so. Only do an episode at a time. There is a lot of information thrown your way, and it's best consumed slowly, so you can really absorb and contemplate this brilliant story. Pluto gets a 9.5 out of 10. And finally, Attack on Titan. This is going to be a tough one. I've been a pretty big fan since I first picked up the series back in 2020. The fourth season, although good, was really all over the place, and so was the finale. If you haven't seen the finale, I'm going to be talking about massive spoilers that shape the entire thesis of the series. So if you don't want to be spoiled, skip to here. Story-wise, it hit all of the notes I wanted it to, but the pacing felt really off, especially in the second half. So many of the massive keynotes of the series were resolved really quickly and kind of hard to pick up right away. I watched it with my friend and we were trying to process it in real time. I think I need to rewatch it when the dub comes out because, I get it, but I don't think it was executed as smoothly as it could have been. Also, gotta say, when Eren gave his excuse for why he took out 80% of the entire population, I felt a surge of absolute rage at his response. It pretty much just comes down to him being like, well, guess I'm just an idiot. Saw I couldn't change the future, so I went ahead with the plan. Plus, this way I can make all my friends heroes in the process. What? I knew Eren was kind of dumb, but this just felt completely out of character idiotic. And honestly, it kind of felt like a cop-out for not having a better excuse. And then the whole plot point of, oh, by the way, there's no more Titans anymore because of plot. It just felt completely out of left field and didn't get the time it deserved to be properly explained. I totally get why half the fandom hated the ending. I didn't hate it. It hit all the plot points I wanted resolved, and there was some really beautiful moments. But I just felt weird after it was over. Plus, okay, Mappa rant here. Why was it split into two parts? We all saw how much the Demon Slayer movie made internationally. If they had done that by putting the two parts together as a film, it would have easily become the highest grossing anime film of all time. And could have allowed more time to be put into the final product, because Lord knows those poor Mappa animators are being pushed past what is morally and legally acceptable for basic workplace treatment. Putting all that aside, yes, this was an ending. That happened on purpose. Let me take a deep breath and collect myself, and while I'm doing that, what did you guys think of it? I heard that the anime did a better job than the manga of explaining everything, but I would really love to hear about what the manga fans thought of the adaptation. Overall, I would have loved to give this a higher score, seeing as this is one of my favorite shows of all time, and there were a lot of moments that I did really like. But due to the weird pacing and rushed ending, this really kind of breaks my heart, but I'm gonna have to give the Attack on Titan finale a 7 out of 10. To wrap things up, this fall season was pretty incredible overall. Yes, we had some like 16-bit and Ron Kamonohashi that fell flat, But then we had absolute bangers like Castlevania, Spy X Family, and Pluto. It was a really wonderful way to wrap up the 2023 anime season, and overall, I am very, very happy with some of the amazing anime that came out this year. Usually at this point of the video, I would talk about my favorites and least favorites of the season, but since it's the end of the year, let's just expand that out to the rest of the year. My favorite animes this year were Buddy Daddies, Hell's Paradise, Tengoku Daimikyo, Magical Destroyers, Undead Murder Farce, Link Click Season 2, Zom 100, Castlevania Nocturne, Spy X Family Season 2, Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, Skippin' Loafer, and Pluto. My least favorite anime was Tenparu. The forgettable anime were The Ice Guy and His Cool Female Colleague, My Love Story with Yamada-kun at Level 999, The Masterful Cat is Depressed Again Today, Reborn as a Vending Machine, Now I Wander the Dungeon, Ron Kamonohashi's Forbidden Deductions, and 16-Bit Sensation Another Level. Seeing a trend here? The longer the title, the more forgettable. Anime that I wish were better were Mashal, Muscles and Magic, Oshinoko, and After School Hanako-kun. And finally, the anime I dropped this year were Otaku Elf, Tenchi Muyo GXP, Jujutsu Kaisen, and 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love Me. Overall, I really challenged myself to watch seasonal anime in 2023, and it really paid off. I am so excited to start this new year with all of you, and I think we're in for some truly spectacular anime. And hopefully, Uzumaki will come out. Thank you so much for watching, especially those who have made it this far. If you like what you see, give this puppy a like and a subscribe if you're feeling so inclined. And comment below to let me know your favorite anime of 2023 and what you're looking forward to in 2024. Thank y'all so much for being here, and I'll see all of y'all on the next one.